All right. Hi, everyone. This is your exam three review video for the final exam. Follows the same format as the first two, 25 multiple choice questions, A, B, C, typically for all of the responses. So go ahead and get started. I've got the review up on my phone. So if you see my phone, I do apologize. I'm looking at it on there. All right, so let's talk about campaign success. That's something, and again, these I'm going not necessarily in the order that things are on the study guide. So, how do we know if a campaign is successful? You need to make sure that you know it's all about the objectives being met, and that is based on an evaluation. So, with that, it doesn't matter if people are like, oh, okay, we finished the campaign, it's successful. It doesn't matter if they find out that people like it. You have to do an evaluation and make sure the objectives are met. We want people to be aware of the mental health issues. Therefore, we do an evaluation, give them a little post-test, not pre-test, right? So we do an evaluation of it. Knowing about campaign development is also pretty important. So when we're talking about campaigns, you can't just make a message for a campaign. There's a little bit of back work that has to go into it. So you have to figure out who is your audience? Who do we want to target with this campaign? Why do we want to target them? What are their demographics? How can we break them up into groups, right? How do we categorize them? Once you know the audience, then you can start working on messages. Know about the FDA's fair balance principle, so direct to consumer advertising. And basically, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Basically, with fair balance principle, it means that if we're talking about the benefits of some drug or some medication or something, then we also have to talk about the risks. So when you see this in a lot of like TV commercials and stuff, you see the risks really, really quick and they go through them very fast. But you also hear, oh, well, it'll give you more energy. You'll be happier. You'll be able to do X, Y, and Z, right? So you have to balance both. Know about third person effect. And this is the idea that we think we are not susceptible, or we are not as susceptible as others on the influence of images in the media. So we see images in the media about the opioid epidemic. We are not as susceptible to falling prey to using opioids, is what we would think. We think that other people are more susceptible than we are. Know about mHealth and other healthcare data. So tech companies are increasingly buying access to our health related data without us knowing about it. So tech companies, if you have an Apple Watch, if you have a Fitbit, if you're using MyFitnessPal, apps like that, they're tracking you. They've got your information, they've got your data. And therefore, they're using that data in ways that we might not necessarily have intended, but it's also not illegal. All right, so let's talk about, we've done the audience analysis, our message is developed in the campaign process. So what do we do next? We would test the message to see if it creates the effects that we want it to create, right? So we pilot test that message basically. Make sure you know about cultivation theory and how it shapes our beliefs. So the more media that we consume, the more our health beliefs are going to reflect health images in the media. Okay. So the more we're exposed to, the more our beliefs reflect what the media is saying. Talked about direct to consumer advertisements. Back to the campaign process. So when objectives should be written for a communication campaign. And this should be once the audience analysis is complete. We know who our audience is. And so we've done our analysis of the audience. Then we can write the objectives. What's going to work for this group? What wouldn't work for this group, right? If we have a group of smokers who we're trying to reach. We do our audience analysis. We know that most people are smoking a pack a day. We'll say that, right? And the goal is to get people to quit. But should our objective really be, hey, we want people to quit in a week? Well, no, because it's not really about their audience analysis. It doesn't match them. So we have to do the audience analysis and then we write the objectives. Think back to the time we talked about the DARE program. So with the DARE program, there's actually little to no evidence that strategies used did reduce drug use, but we all got the DARE program. I know when I was younger, a police officer came in and talked to us, and I personally didn't use drugs, but I don't think it was because of the DARE program. I personally didn't use drugs because I don't have an interest in them. But there's been no data that suggests that the DARE program works. Know about channel characteristics in communication campaigns and what they refer to. So the advantages and limitations of different means of communicating information, right? So with campaigns, there are some advantages to using social media campaigns, right? Advantages, everybody basically has a social media. It's easy to get the message out, it's easy to get the word out. There are limitations though. You can only do what the social media site will allow you to do, right? So there's advantages and disadvantages, of course. Talked about the audience analysis. Know what it means to segment an audience for a campaign. We talked about this, or I talked about this a little bit ago in this video, but we start organizing our population based on these meaningful characteristics, so goals and experiences, right? So maybe I'm going to match people up based on their goals. What do you want, right? I want to quit smoking. I want to be an active member in the community, whatever, right? So we segment people based on what their goals are, but they have to be meaningful characteristics. You should know the definition of a communication campaign. I guess that should have been one of the first things I said, sorry. It is a strategic messaging effort, strategic messaging effort to influence or inform a specific group of people, okay? I want to inform people of X. I want to influence people to do Y. Okay. Know about the social marketing approach for communication campaigns. It is carefully understanding who an audience is before developing any messages, right? So how do we know what messages are going to work? Well, we know our audience, we learn our audience, and then we pilot them to that. We pilot the message to those. Talked about direct to consumer. Understand the knowledge gap hypothesis and what it refers to. So those with more information resources know more and learn faster than those without. And that just makes sense. If you have access to the internet, if you have access to a computer, you have access to television, educational television, you're going to learn more than somebody who has no access to any of those. They have to go to the library to learn, you know? So you learn faster and you learn more because you have more sources. Know about entertainment education. It can be television shows with health and risk related content. It could be children's shows that are meant to teach life lessons. They could be programs that are shaped by consulting agents that ensure accurate and medical information, right? So entertainment education, it can't be too educational because nobody will watch, and it can't be too entertaining because then you're not learning anything. So you got to find that right balance. Understand media advocacy. So this is stimulating media coverage around a health issue to influence policymakers. You are using the media to influence policy and policy change. Talked about evaluation. Talked about social marketing. So do make sure you know about social marketing and all of the steps. The second, or not the second, make sure you know about agenda setting theory, and they shape our health beliefs based on the frequency that the content is covered by the media, and that will impact how important we think certain health topics are, right? So the opioid epidemic is huge in West Virginia. There's a lot of media coverage. Therefore, we think that um, the epidemic is really bad, and it is. I mean, think about the pandemic right now, right? We see a lot of coverage on it. So because it's being covered by the media a lot, that impacts how important we think that the pandemic is, right? All right, and I think that is it for the exam that I think you should know. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. All right, have a great day.